You know, we live in a world that's just obsessed with change, right? We're always chasing the next new thing, the next big experience. But what if real, true stability doesn't come from changing at all? What if it comes from finding the one thing that's always been there, totally constant? That's the huge, profound idea we're going to dive into today. So, let's just start right here with this question. I mean, we're taught from day one that everything is impermanent, right? Our moods, our jobs, our relationships, they're always shifting and changing. But a question like this, it really makes you stop and wonder, is there anything at all, that's actually permanent? Like a solid bedrock just sitting there underneath the rushing river of life?
All right, let's jump into our first section, the race for change. We're going to look at why our constant, head-down pursuit of progress can actually leave us feeling, well, pretty unstable. You know, our whole culture basically celebrates this idea of relentless motion. Progress is king, and standing still, that's seen as failure. And what this does is it creates this constant pressure, this kind of whirlwind where we're always chasing new experiences, better jobs, trying to transform ourselves into some new version. And yeah, it can be exciting, but let's be honest, it can also be completely exhausting and leave us feeling like we're just permanently unsettled.
So, all that chasing brings us right to our second section, trapped in the clouds. Let's dig into how this intense focus on change leads us to a really fundamental misunderstanding of who we actually are.
It all kind of starts with something really simple, how we talk about our feelings. A wave of anxiety washes over you, and instead of saying, wow, I feel anxious right now, what do we usually say? I am anxious. See that subtle shift? It's huge. We literally fuse our entire identity with a feeling that's just a temporary visitor. And we do the exact same thing with our achievements. You know, you land that promotion, and the thought is, I am a success. But when we do that, we're basically hanging our entire self-worth on something that's external and, let's face it, temporary. So what happens when that success fades or the next project doesn't go so well? Our sense of who we are becomes incredibly fragile. And of course, we do it with pain. We go through a tough loss and we say, I am heartbroken. We start to believe that this temporary, painful state defines our entire being. We're essentially mistaking a passing thunderstorm for the whole sky.
So this habit, this whole thing we're talking about, it actually has a name, misidentification. It's just the simple common mistake of tying our permanent, stable sense of I, the real you, to the constantly shifting clouds of our thoughts, our feelings, and our life events. And according to what we're looking at here, this one little mistake is the absolute root cause of so much of our suffering and anxiety.
And this metaphor, it just nails it perfectly. We spend all our energy getting so caught up in the individual waves, the highs and lows, the successes and the failures, that we completely forget that we are the vast, deep ocean itself. We're the context where all those waves just come and go.
Which brings us to our third and really the core section of this whole thing, remembering the vast sky. This is where we talk about discovering that awareness inside of us, that silent, always present backdrop to every single one of our experiences.
Now check this out. This comparison really lays out the contrast perfectly. On one side, you've got the clouds. That's our experience. They're temporary, they're reactive, often turbulent. But on the other side, you've got the sky. That's our awareness. It's eternal, it's unchanging, totally serene and boundless. It's the context for our lives, not just the content. Big difference. I mean, just think about this for a second. The awareness that's looking out through your eyes right now is the exact same awareness that was looking out through them when you were 5 years old. It has witnessed every joy, every sorrow, every single moment of your life. But has it ever actually been changed or damaged by any of them?
Nope.
It is the only true constant you have ever known.
And look, this isn't some new age idea someone just came up with. This is a timeless truth. You can find it at the very heart of so many of the world's great wisdom traditions. Whether they call it Atman, or unborn awareness, or the image of God, or the ground of being, they are all pointing to this exact same unchanging reality that exists inside every single one of us.
Okay, so that brings us to a really important part, Section 4, How to Notice Now. Because, let's be real, this all sounds great as a concept, right? But how do we actually experience this in our messy day-to-day lives? So here's a super simple 3-step practice you can do anytime, anywhere. Step 1, just pause. Whatever you're doing, just for a moment, stop. Step 2, allow. Let all the thoughts, feelings, and sounds be exactly as they are. No need to fight them or fix them. And then, step 3, notice. Gently shift your attention away from the content of your experience, the thoughts, the feelings, and toward the silent, spacious awareness that's just watching it all.
And believe me, this is way more than just a relaxation technique. It's about finding a deep, unshakable refuge. There's this incredibly powerful story in the source material about a friend in her final days. And even as her body was failing, she whispered that the peace was still there, that it had never left. She was connecting with that inner awareness that was completely whole, completely untouched by her physical situation. Just wow.
So, what does life actually look like when we start to make this shift? Well, that brings us to our final section, freedom in being. We're going to explore what it really means to live your life rooted in the eternal.
And this is a really crucial point. The goal is not to get rid of the clouds or eliminate the storms in your life. That's impossible, and it's not the point. The whole goal is to realize that you are the vast, peaceful sky in which the storms pass through. I mean, they can rage all they want, right? But they can never, ever harm the sky itself.
And this realization leads to this beautiful, kind of paradoxical freedom. When you're not afraid of being destroyed by your feelings, you can actually love more deeply without clinging. When you're not attached to the outcome, you can act more boldly. You can even grieve with your whole heart without completely losing yourself in the process. You get to fully engage, to dance in the changing world of time, all while staying centered in that timeless part of you.
So we're going to end not with a big conclusion, but with an invitation. This isn't about striving or trying to find something you don't already have. It's so much simpler than that. It's just about noticing what has been here all along. That peace, it was never actually absent. It was just overlooked. So the only question left is, can you feel it now?